Hey there, it's Sherry Johnson here. I'm going to be talking in a moment about pregnancy after a loss. Just while people are jumping on, let me introduce myself once again in case you're new here. My name is Sherry Johnson, and I'm the founder of Sherry Johnson Coaching and the Love and Loss podcast. So if you haven't listened to that, head on over to iTunes or Spotify and have a listen. I've got lots of episodes up there. I help women recover after pregnancy loss, spiritually, emotionally, physically, so that they can really feel better more quickly than they ever thought possible. So in today's video, we're going to talk about getting pregnant again after a loss. If you've already been pregnant after a loss, you'll know that it's pretty filled with anxiety and fear over a loss happening again. I've been there. I had 3 miscarriages, so my pregnancy number 2 and 3 were definitely filled with fear and anxiety, and I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. In today's video, I want to really get into what most industry experts are telling women about getting pregnant again, and why I think they're getting it wrong. What to do instead, and then the results that you're going to experience if you actually do the one right thing. So this is what I think. Let me tell you a little bit about my story. So I had my first miscarriage. I wasn't expecting to be pregnant. It was a little bit of a surprise. Nonetheless, I was devastated when we lost our baby, but I sort of thought that I was okay because I never had any inkling that it wasn't going to happen again until I got pregnant for the second time. And then I realized when it was actually my therapist who pointed it out that I wasn't excited about my pregnancy, and I wasn't feeling the joy of it the way that I had with my first. And I was guarding myself. I was guarding. I was trying not to hope. So that's what I want. I mean, that's what I think every woman feels, and that's what I really want to help you avoid. So when I talked to my doctor, right after I had my miscarriage, my first miscarriage, one of the first things that I asked him was, how long before I can try again? And I'm sure most women will ask the same question, how long before you can try again? Because you're anxious to get pregnant again. And so most industry experts, most doctors, the nurses, even society will tell us, wait a cycle or 2 and then try again. And society really perpetuates that. I'm sure that you heard after your miscarriage, someone probably said to you, just get pregnant again. You'll feel better, right? I know that a few people said that to me. At least you know you can get pregnant. Just get pregnant again. And why I think that this is wrong is, of course, because of that worry and that fear. But it's more than just not wanting you to feel that anxiety going into your next pregnancy, because I mean, that's part of it, obviously. Nobody wants to feel anxious. I think you deserve to feel the joy of pregnancy. But there's more to it than that. When you are anxious and fearful of what might happen, then there's hormones that get released when you are fearful, or when you're anxious or worried. And those hormones circulate through your bloodstream, and they actually impact the baby. So your baby is going to have those same hormones circulating through its bloodstream, because your blood is her blood or his blood. And that's what you really don't want. You want to feel good, but you definitely don't want your baby being impacted by those hormones. So the reason why I think that it's not a great idea to try to get pregnant right away is because it's almost inevitable. A cycle or two is just not long enough for you to heal enough in order to avoid those feelings of anxiousness. So I also want to talk a bit more about why people say this, to just get pregnant again, because there's no judgment on them. It's quite common to hear that, and for most of us, we want to go ahead with our next pregnancy right away because we're taught that moving on to the next thing is going to take the grief away. And we learn this from the time that we're little kids, really. Kids, teenagers, young adults. For most people, they hear it for the first time when they're children and they lose their first pet. And their parents say, don't worry, we'll get another puppy or we'll get another kitten. And that immediately tells them, you don't have to feel any pain. We'll bury your pain, just put it aside. We're going to heal that by getting you a new puppy. And that just isn't the way that it works. That's just burying or covering up your grief with something to distract you. And it's the same thing when we're teenagers and you lose your first crush. Your boyfriend breaks up with you and your mom or your older sister or someone says, don't worry, there's more fish in the sea. You'll find someone else. And sure, of course, that's probably true, but that isn't actually helping to heal the pain that you feel in that moment. And that pain, if you just distract yourself with the next thing, it just gets buried and it never actually gets released. So when you feel anxiety in your next pregnancy, what you're actually feeling is the fear of the pain of your last loss. It's not the fear of what might happen. It's the fear of the pain of your last loss. So if you haven't come to a place where you're certain that you can handle whatever comes your way, if you haven't released the pain of your last loss, you're just going to worry about feeling that all over again. So what you need to do instead is spend the time that you need actually healing your grief first. And I know that the first reaction to that is, well, I don't have time to wait for that. The biological clock is ticking. So at least that was what was going through my mind. And I had my first loss at the age of 39. So I was really feeling like, no, I don't have time to wait. I don't have time to heal. I'm moving on. And really, what I'd like you to know is that it might actually not take as much time to heal as you think if you actually take the right steps towards your healing process. So that's what I really want you to think about. And when you do, I'm just checking my notes to make sure I've caught everything here. When you do actually heal before your next pregnancy, you can actually go into your next pregnancy feeling good and feeling the joy and the excitement and the relaxation that you deserve. So let me kind of drive this home. Think about this for a minute. Have you ever met anyone who has done this kind of true emotional healing before they got pregnant again? I certainly haven't met anyone. I didn't do it because I didn't know how, and it didn't even occur to me that there was something I could do at the time towards my own healing. And that's why I think I've never actually met anyone who can say that their pregnancy or pregnancies after their first loss was smooth from an emotional standpoint. I don't think anybody actually knows how to take those steps towards emotional healing before they have their next pregnancy. So when you actually take that time and you spend time looking inward and releasing that emotional pain, you can actually feel like you're equipped to handle whatever comes your way. And then you can relax during your next pregnancy. You can feel the joy of that pregnancy. Imagine going into your next pregnancy with the same feeling that you did with your first, with that kind of confidence that you don't even think about miscarriage, and you're just happy about what's coming and all the months ahead of you once you get past the first trimester of nausea and fatigue. So that's the kind of pregnancy that I want you to have. And you actually have two options. Now that you know that this is possible, you have the option of going back and trying to get pregnant before you're ready to, before you're emotionally ready to, or you can do the work that you need to do first and then go into your next pregnancy feeling really good and enjoying that pregnancy. So those are your two options. I actually teach women how to do this, how to heal, how to take the steps, the action steps that you need to take to heal emotionally after a pregnancy loss. And I teach that in my online program, which is opening up for enrollment very soon. And I'll talk more about that in a future video. For now, though, I would love it if you hopped over to my private Facebook community where we can dive into these topics a little bit more deeply and have more intimate conversations about it. It's a really beautiful group of I think we're up to about 30 women now who have all had a loss, and it's a safe place to share your thoughts and your feelings and even what you thought about this video, because I'm curious about what you think. So I will leave it at that for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm grateful as always, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.